This video is brought to you by Craftsy. Sometimes you come across a book that changes your life. Okay, that's a bit dramatic, but sometimes a book just ends up having a significant impact on your life. It just has a way of digging itself into your brain and living there rent-free. I've come across many such books in my life. Books that altered my way of thinking, books that gave me a new lease on life, and books that just simply brought me a lot of joy. Too many to name, too many to remember. Today I'm going to boil it down to just the ones that affected my art. Books that I discovered early on in my journey that ended up shaping my development as an artist. So let's begin at the beginning, my very first art book. Last Man Standing, The Kill Book of a Bounty Hunter is an art book created by concept artist Dan Luvisi. If you're on DeviantArt circa 2008, you would have undoubtedly come across some of Dan's work. LMS is essentially a dossier created by the main character of the book, Gabriel. The book includes a bio of each character and some additional pieces related to the world. I know, it's crazy that this was the first art book I've ever bought. This is the first edition published by Heavy Metal. I think the versions you can buy online now are published by Dark Horse Comics. I remember being 14 when this book launched for pre-order and begging my mom for her credit card so I could buy it. I kind of knew I wanted to be a concept artist by that point, and somehow I had a feeling that this book would be important to me. Before coming across LMS and Dan's work in general, I had a really stuffy view on concept art in general really. I took it way too seriously. It showed me that art could be fun and irreverent, and looking at all the little details, all the bits of storytelling puts a huge smile on my face. If there's one lesson that I could take away from LMS, it's to take an idea and go balls to the wall with it. Take it to the extreme and see where that takes you. Sometimes it takes you to a bloody good art book. It's not an art book, I know. It's not even a book about drawing or painting. It's a book about writing, about story. If you're a screenwriter, The Anatomy of Story will be no stranger to you. It seems to be the book to read if you want to write screenplays for movies. It talks about theme and story structure and character development, and you might be thinking, how is this relevant to me? Well, it was sometime during my final year in school where I felt like my illustrations were missing something. It was a lack of story. The art felt empty somehow. I decided to do a deep dive into the art of storytelling, and this book was my first foray into the craft. Perhaps it's a tad excessive, but I think that thinking this way helped me a lot on my journey. Framing everything through the lens of storytelling helps give me an anchor point to build off of. Sometimes I write full short stories for the illustrations I work on. Other times it's just a few paragraphs of backstory. Seeing the artwork as just a slice of the whole story helps me in making decisions on what to draw, what emotions to portray, and what kind of details to add. Everything then starts to make sense. And maybe sometimes it's okay to learn about things that aren't necessarily related to drawing, because you never know when that knowledge will feed your art, which is why I've started taking classes on gardening with today's sponsor, Craftsy. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. With classes such as illustrated nature journaling and complete knife skills, Craftsy is the perfect place to expand your horizons. They offer classes on subjects such as sewing, knitting, drawing, and painting. With on-demand access to thousands of classes, you can learn anytime, anywhere, fitting your education seamlessly into your schedule. I'm currently working on having more plants in my home, so I'm really interested in their classes on gardening, particularly this one on innovative small space solutions, which is perfect for me. And I want to share that with you. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring the video. Inkworks is perhaps the clearest and biggest influence I have in my sketching style. I mean, just look at it. You can see where I got it from. The book is a collection of sketches by artist Darren Quash. His name states all the drawings in the book are drawn in ink. At the time, I was just getting into serious perspective drawing. I just got a copy of Scott Robertson's How to Draw, which is, by the way, another important book. To me, Darren's style embodies that type of drawing. The clear forms, the sense of weight and scale. It's everything I want my art to be. So I stole from him. I studied everything and used it for my own. Even though my style has evolved from then, there's still a clear influence here. It's all part of the process of growing as an artist, but I feel like Inkworks will still remain a big part of my art. Have you ever drawn some line art and then thought to yourself, okay, now what? How should I color this? Well, introducing my cheat sheet, the Art of Pixar to complete color scripts and select art from 25 years of animation. Boy, that's a mouthful. A color script is basically what it sounds like. It's a series of loose paintings describing the color and lighting of each scene in the movie. It's a tool for directors and artists to map out the color shifts, the emotions, and the overall flow of the movie before committing to anything time-consuming like, for example, background painting. So here's the hack. Whenever I'm in doubt as to what color to make my painting, first I determine the emotion I want to have. Is the painting sad, happy, romantic? I pick any one of the movies in the book and go to a scene in the movie with that particular emotion. Then I just take those colors, wham bam, thank you ma'am. But this is genuinely a great way to learn about color theory. Understanding how color relates to the story is a key skill, and this is one of the best ways I found of doing it. The second half of the book also has incredible concept art done for all the movies, and it's just incredible to see the variety of styles and techniques across all these different movies. It really just goes to show that the understanding of color and light transcends any one art style. It's a Studio Ghibli book, what do you want me to say? As much as there's a lot to learn from an art book, they can also be there to just inspire. This book of mine isn't as old as all the other books I've shown you so far. It's a relatively recent acquisition because it's not my first copy. My first copy of The Art of Spirited Away is in the library of my art school. I couldn't afford a copy of my own. I didn't have any money, so I would just go look at it as often as I could in the library. It was my North Star. It was a reminder that this was what I wanted to make. Good art. Every time things got difficult, I would go to the library and just stare at the art. It was weird because I went to school for commercial illustration, and I was the only one in my class who cared about concept art. I was the only one who wanted to draw robots and dragons and spaceships. It was a strangely isolating experience because nobody shared my dream. And looking at this book, I didn't feel so alone because then I knew that somewhere out there, these people cared about the same thing I care about. Thank you for watching. Do you have any books that are important to you? Books that were formative in your development as an artist? Or just books that you think, hey, I think this is cool, you might like it. Let me know in the comments down below. Have a good night.